on to the point. Air travel chaos.
The impact here will be huge for the American traveler.
As the FAA slashes flights over safety concerns, airlines' messages to travelers tonight. The growing calls for California's insurance commissioner to resign.
Families who did everything right and still lost everything.
Fire survivors speaking out as frustrations rise. Nancy Pelosi is closing the chapter on her long congressional career. Who could fill her seat? And in our Champions of Hope, meet a local Army veteran, why he says he's heading to the Boston Marathon.
It's a big race, but it's an even bigger mission.
A lot of important news happening. As always, thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell, and it is day 37 of the government shutdown, and its effect on air travel is only intensifying. 40 airports will see FAA flight reductions starting tomorrow. So this includes some of the busiest airports in the country, from Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson to LAX, Dallas, Fort Worth, got JFK in New York City, Miami, Detroit, and DCA in Washington. Now, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy announced yesterday a 10% cut in flights across the country. He says to keep the airspace as safe as possible. This is all due to a shortage of more than 400 air traffic controllers since the shutdown began.
They're not calling in sick. They're calling in saying, I don't have childcare today. What do you want me to do?
An airline source says companies got about an hour's notice about the plan. Now they are scrambling to adjust their flights. While Sacramento International Airport is not among the airports seeing flight cuts, officials say the ripple effect could still be felt here. Tonight, many local travelers are bracing for possible delays. Many flyers at Sacramento International Airport were caught off guard when we told them the FAA's reduction in flights start on Friday and will also impact flight connections nationwide. Everyone from families on vacation to business travelers say that they are watching their upcoming flights really closely, and they're worried about what's to come. Some are nervous about their return flights to Sacramento or other destinations once the reductions begin.
If my flight gets canceled or it gets delayed, I won't make my connecting flight, so I won't be able to go. And then I don't want to risk spending a night somewhere in one of these locations and being stranded.
The airport told ABC 10 in a statement, in part, quote, while Sacramento International Airport is not currently subject to FAA flight operation limits, travelers may experience delays or schedule adjustments due to FAA restrictions at other airports. So if you are flying out of SMF, officials say make sure you check your airline's app for any changes before you head to the airport, of course. Now, travel experts say international flights should not be impacted for most carriers, but less full flights to smaller cities or flights with more limited schedules to begin with are most likely to be on the chopping block. So be aware that if you are traveling, you may be impacted, even if you're not flying out of one of those 40 major airports that we listed today. And here's what some airlines are doing to help travelers. United, Delta, and American Airlines all announced that they will honor waivers. Delta says it will allow changes to all ticket types, including basic economy for impacted flights, along with refunds for cancellations. The Department of Transportation set out new rules regarding refunds last year, which are required by law for purchased airline tickets. So here's what you should know. If you do need to rebook or you need to get a refund for that flight, refunds should be automatic, prompt, and in the form of the original payment and for the full amount. According to the policy, travelers also have the option to accept alternative arrangements or travel credits if their original travel is impacted. A ticketed passenger is entitled to a full refund if the airline canceled a flight, regardless of the reason, and the person chooses not to travel. As for the government shutdown, bipartisan negotiations to reopen the government are still stalled. But today, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to pay the full SNAP benefits for November. So nearly 42 million Americans receive food stamps. In response to another court order, the administration announced earlier this week that it would partially fund the program. But during today's hearing, the judge said the administration had not acted quickly enough to release the funds. The USDA must now tap into contingency funds to make the full payments to states, which the judge said must be done by tomorrow. The administration has appealed that order. Right now, the need is greater than ever, and that's exactly why ABC 10, Wells Fargo, and the Athletics are teaming up for our annual Stand Against Hunger campaign, which means now through December 12th, ABC 10 is raising money for 7 local food banks to help feed people in need this holiday season. And if you want to see a list of those participating food banks and also how you can help, just go to abc10.com/standagainsthunger. More big news today. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced that she will not run for another term in Congress. It would end her nearly 4 decades in Washington. In a video today, the 85-year-old Congresswoman expressed gratitude and pride for her years representing her constituents in San Francisco. Pelosi was first elected into Congress in 1987. 20 years later, she made history when she became the first female ever to be House Speaker. She remains the only woman to have ever held the position. Her announcement today getting some mixed reaction from Washington.
Nancy D'Alessandro Pelosi will go down in history as the greatest speaker of all time. Her tenure has been iconic, legendary, historic, and transformational.
President Donald Trump, however, with a different reaction.
She's an able woman. I'm glad she's retiring. I think she did the country a great service by retiring. I think she was a tremendous liability for the country.
Pelosi's term in Congress ends on January 3rd, 2027, but now the question is who will replace her? According to the filings with the Federal Election Commission, as of this morning, 6 Democratic candidates besides Pelosi and 2 Republicans have registered campaign committees for the June 2026 primary for California's 11th congressional district. Now, 2 of those candidates are already gaining attention and some prominence. State Senator Scott Wiener announced in October that he would run for the seat. Then we have Silicon Valley tech entrepreneur Shaukat Chakrabarti has also launched a primary campaign. The election went smoothly. That is the message from California Secretary of State Shirley Weber. She says any issues that did come up were addressed quickly and that the state saw a huge turnout for a quick and short election. With 2 months to get this election together, Weber acknowledged it garnered a lot of attention nationally. That includes criticisms from Caroline Leavitt, President Donald Trump's press secretary. She claimed California has the worst laws in the nation for securing elections. In response, Weber had this to say.
That is not the case. Go ahead and vote. There's nothing happening that it makes us insecure. The ballots are good. The people are there, and there's nothing that people should be concerned about. But this is standard. This is the normal America now.
Weber reiterated this was a safe and secure election. She did note that her office was not notified directly of the federal monitors being sent to the state, causing concern amongst voters. But again, there was no incident. The state has until December 12th to certify the election. Still ahead on To the Point, wildfire survivors say that they have been left behind by California's insurance system, and now they want the state's top insurance official out. And later, our champions of hope, how a military veteran is going the extra miles to support an organization that he says is close to his heart.
After some morning fog, sunshine today. Highs reach near 70. More fog early tomorrow, then tracking a bigger weather system next week.
But first, another headlines tonight. A jury today awarded $10 million to a former Virginia elementary school teacher who was shot by her 6-year-old student. Abby Zwerner sued ex-assistant principal Ebony Parker. She alleged Parker failed to act on concerns the student had brought a gun to school in January of 2023. Parker faces 8 counts of felony child neglect in the criminal case next month. Dallas Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Kneeland died this morning. Team officials issued a statement calling the 24-year-old, quote, a beloved teammate. Police say Kneeland was found with what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. They say they found him after a search following a chase that ended in a crash. Kneeland was a 2024 second-round draft pick out of Western Michigan University. And a French court released a report slamming the leadership of the Louvre for focusing on renovations and big purchases over security. Since last month's heist, information has come to light showing security gaps appear to have been known for years. That includes a 2014 warning claiming one of the Louvre's key passwords was simply Louvre.
Checking in with our weather as we're almost to the end of our work week. What we're tracking first and foremost is going to be the Friday fog. Next up on the list, we've got some fall color. And finally, bigger storm lineup headed our way next week. So just be aware that some of the leaves that we're seeing that are so beautiful across the sky are going to be falling. We've got some showers well to the north of us. A few clouds streaming in for tonight's forecast. But overall, we're going to see a mix of clouds coming into early tomorrow. Some of those low clouds and some patchy fog to start us off on our Friday, then clearing for the afternoon, and we're right back into the low 70s. You can see that strip of fog pretty much right through the Central Valley. That'll be hitting us particularly along Highway 99 as well as on the east side of the valley. Now, it doesn't last too long, so we'll be right back to the mostly sunny skies for the afternoon. Light north wind will keep us with just a little hint of fog into the weekend forecast. Other than that, it is going to be partly to mostly sunny with highs warming into the mid 70s on Sunday. Here's a look at that band of rain that's to the north of us. This actually lifts even farther to the north with that storm track over the weekend. That will result in dry conditions, but as we head into the middle of next week, we've got a low pressure system that's cut off from the main storm track, and so it is going to pick up steam, and it looks like it finally starts to stretch our way by late on Wednesday, taking us through our Thursday, even our Friday forecast. So a much different situation next week at this time. Now, this is still quite a ways out, so we're going to be tracking the timing, the duration, location, and totals coming into our forecast. For tomorrow, highs are going to be in the 50s for the Sierra with 60s and 70s down low. Across the coast, we've got highs in the 60s and 70s. And for the valley locations, morning lows near 50, highs will warm into the low to mid 70s. Just a little warm for this time of year. Our extended forecast, we kick it off with the first 3 days, which has Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in play. Highs in the low to mid 70s with a mix of sun and clouds. Again, watch out for some patchy morning fog. Heading into next week, Veterans Day, a high of 74. Then we start tracking those bigger weather changes Thursday and Friday, and atmospheric river on the way.
Right after the break, the state's home insurance crisis, wildfire survivors calling out the insurance commissioner, wanting him to resign, blaming him for their struggle to get coverage. Welcome back in. LA wildfire survivors are calling on Governor Newsom to pressure California's insurance commissioner to resign. They made the announcement at a news conference this morning in Altadena. ABC 10's Becca Habegger has been following the state's home insurance crisis for years now. And Becca, you say that survivors are saying that insurance is collapsing really in two ways.
Yeah, they say tens of thousands of families statewide aren't able to find, renew, or afford coverage for their home. And those who do have coverage often find it's hard to access when they need it.
We are suffering, we are struggling, and we just want the chance to rebuild our lives and go home.
These LA wildfire survivors say they blame California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara for delays in being made whole by their insurance company, for some, and for others, having their insurer drop them just months before the fire.
Families who did everything right and still lost everything.
They believe Lara puts the interest of insurance companies above everyday policyholders. They point to a new investigation from the New York Times, which says insurance companies exploited loopholes in the commissioner's regulatory reform called the Sustainable Insurance Strategy. As part of it, ABC 10 has reported on extensively, the commissioner gave insurance companies changes they've been wanting for years, but only if those companies agreed to write more policies in wildfire-stressed areas.
He announced the plan in 2023. He said when this is over, I'm going to give insurance companies rate hikes using these new tools, but I'll make them increase their policies. But the start date was whenever in 2025 or 2026 they get those rate increase requests approved. That means for the last 2 years, they've been busy dumping policyholders less than right, so they have a lower baseline to start from.
Plus, the Times investigation says many of the areas the Department of Insurance defines as wildfire distressed are not places CAL FIRE considers high risk. The article highlights Placer County, the entirety of which the Department of Insurance classifies as distressed. So anywhere insurers write there counts toward their required minimum in order to access the wanted reforms. But the Times points out over 70% of homes in Placer County are outside of the state's high fire fire hazard zones. A savvy insurer could meet it by zeroing in on Roseville, a city of about 160,000 residents whose boundaries barely graze CAL FIRE's high-risk zones. The Times found similar situations in the department's map throughout the state. A department official told the Times that insurers will probably gravitate toward those lower-risk homes, but he predicted that those opportunities will be sucked up very quickly, which will force companies into the more fire-risk areas. In a statement to ABC 10, the Department of Insurance says the regulations of the sustainable insurance strategy underwent public scrutiny and hearings before going into effect. As for LA wildfire survivors, the most recent data update, July 31st, shows more than $20 billion in claims have been paid, with more than 92% of claims at least partially paid. And a department spokesperson says Laura used every tool available to ensure wildfire survivors receive all the benefits they are entitled to under current law. But the survivors say the last 10 months have been awful.
We're tired of fighting, being denied benefits, being denied what you paid for is insane.
Again, survivors are calling on Governor Newsom to pressure Commissioner Latta to resign. So I reached out to the governor's office to ask if Latta still has his backing. I did not hear back by deadline. Alex.
All right, Becca, thank you for that update. From social media videos on the deadly plane crash in Louisville to posts on wars or politics, constantly reading or seeing troubling things can take a real toll on your mental health, but it can be hard to put your device down. So tonight, we're sharing some ways to stop so-called doom scrolling. It's become a way to fill time, and sometimes a person doesn't even realize how much they're spending on a device.
Fortunately, doom scrolling has become a very common and unhealthy practice in our society.
Psychologist Adam Borland with Cleveland Clinic says constantly looking at disturbing and anxiety-provoking material on social media takes a toll on mental health. Too much exposure can fuel stress and lead to increased anxiety, low mood, sleep disturbances, irritability, and it can even create problems at home or work.
Oftentimes people complain about losing long periods of time scrolling through their phone because it becomes addictive.
To stop yourself from doom scrolling, Borland says to start with mindfulness. Focus on the present moment. Establish healthy boundaries on when and when not to use the devices. Monitor which sites you follow and how they affect your mood, stress, and anxiety levels. He says it may be time to unfollow some of those accounts, have a support system of people that can help during a hard time, and finally, put down the device. Instead, fill your time with exercising, getting outdoors, or engaging in something creative.
It's important for people to remember that they have a choice in all of this. They have a choice as to how much upsetting content they're accessing. And when they have that choice, that comes with a sense of control.
Next, he served his country overseas. Now he's running to give back. Meet the Army veteran representing Team USO at the Boston Marathon. From neighbors helping neighbors to inspiring acts of kindness, each week we are sharing stories on people who are really making a difference. And tonight in our Champions of Hope, we introduce you to an Army veteran now running the Boston Marathon to give back to the USO, an organization that he says was always there during his time in the Army. Now, Army veteran Brian Croft served 6 years as an infantry paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division, deploying to Iraq and later Haiti. He says the USO helped him and countless others stay connected with home during long deployments through care packages, airport lounges, or programs that support troops overseas. Now, Brian has been selected as one of just 12 runners nationwide to represent Team USO at the 2026 Boston Marathon. He is working to raise $10,000 to support the organization that has supported him.
Every dollar that we can raise really is going to help what they do. And especially with the government shutdown right now, that does impact the troops. It does impact service members, but the USO is, putting more resources out there than ever to try and to fill the gap where they can and to make sure that our service members around the world are supported.
And if you do want to support Brian's cause, you can head out next Tuesday, which is Veterans Day, to Ease Brewing, a veteran-owned brewery, or Sackyard Company Community House, Tap House. You can stop by, enjoy a beer, and then help raise money for the USO. As always, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. I'll see you tomorrow.